Well, a warm welcome to this edition of the Morning Call once again. The trial of military personnel for murder and rape in South Sudan that occurred during an attack on the Terrain Hotel in Juba on July 11, 2016 commenced in the country's capital, Juba. Now, the perpetrators accused committed the acts when President Salva Kiir's troops won a three-day battle in the capital against opposition forces loyal to former Vice President Riek Machar. According to Africanews sources at the hearing on Tuesday, the judge adjourned the trial for 2 weeks after the army removed Abubakar Mohammed, its chief prosecutor, over the weekend. This story has details.
One, to provide fair trial for both victims and the perpetrators, and to give time for the new prosecutor to study the details of the case. Most of the witnesses that are supposed to appear in this court or in this case are outside the country, including the victims themselves. So this is why the court has been adjourned.
In the margins of this trial, multi-dimensional violence continues to rage on in the South Sudanese territory. At least 38 people were killed in clashes between two tribes in the northwest of the country on Monday, according to a local official. The Apuk and the Gwok clans are clashing over grazing lands, border disputes and water points in Gogrial. 35 other people were injured during the fighting. South Sudan plunged into a civil war in December 2013, 2.5 years after its independence, a war that has led to thousands of deaths, with more than 3.5 million people displaced. The conflict began with fighting between rival units of the army, undermined by political ethnic antagonisms fueled by rivalry at the head of the regime between President Salva Kiir and his rival and vice president at the time, Riek Machar.
Now, we have been following this for a while, and our correspondent Deng Mashol is in the capital, Juba. Good morning, Deng. Welcome to the Morning Call once again. Now, just give us, you are in the capital right now, and give us details. The soldiers who were arraigned before the court yesterday, are they with the rebel factions or are they part of the government?
Well, they all came on the government side. As you know, there were about 20 SPLM soldiers accused of rapings and murderings. But when the case starts, only 13 appear in the court. You know, this case was brought to light by the government. The government wants to end the impunity in the army to be professional one, which respect human rights principles.
Now, Deng, we understand that the trial is they're in a martial court, and rights groups in the country is questioning the fairness of this trial. Now, just tell us more about this, because a military court is not easily accessible to everyone, especially outside witnesses who have not been validated to be there.
The investigation was done by the government committee, who were appointed by the President last year in estimate of July, I think. So basically, it was done by the government, and then they take it to the court for final hearing. So people were not called again to come and testify. Whoever testified is only the manager of the Terrain Hotel.
Now, then, lastly, the government, the South Sudanese government has been accused of not prosecuting perpetrators of such acts of war. That is rape and sexual abuse in a nutshell. What has been their reaction, and that South Sudanese, especially the government, with regard to this trial?
In fact, the government has been reluctant to try any perpetrators of such crimes in the government of the South Sudanese government. But in this case, which is the first of its kind, there's a green line, try them. But to assure you, the government is doing this so that it cleans the national army, because there's been an issue which has been going on with national army, which is not professional and is committing crime, and the government was not doing anything. So this one is a step, and that's why you see that all silent, although they are trying their own members, they are silent on this